So welcome to the Escapist Corner. Today we have an honorable guest in our studio, CrossFit Studio Box.
Yeah.
It's the only studio box in Germany that we know.
It's a box or a studio box? I don't know.
Yeah,
Studio box.
studio box. So where we do recordings, we play music. No, we don't. But a lot of music for the guys who are training in here. Today we welcome a guy from Germany. I think second German guest, or no, third German guest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First Ellie, then we had Yanis, and now we have Ben.
Benedict.
Hey.
Benedict.
Nice to have you here, Benedict. You're yeah. We have a lot of things to talk about. I think you are the founder or the holder of the German Throwdown, and the what do I say?
Director of the
Director of
Managing director.
Managing director of
So-
German Throwdown.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're very happy to have you here in our box. Before this we had a nice lunch together at Tommy's Burger. So we both, all three of us, love burgers. So it's a good start. Where do we start?
Well,
we have
first of all, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
And yes, that's right. I'm not a founder of the German Throwdown.
Yeah.
I'm the managing director now and the owner of the company that runs the German Throwdown.
Yeah.
But I'm not the founder.
How do you get to the German Throwdown first, and then probably how do you get into CrossFit? What was the steps that guide someone, Benedict from Wiesbaden, to just say, okay, you know what, I want to run the German Throwdown?
Yeah.
What's the story behind that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I want to start with how I got into CrossFit. And it was just fitness training for, I used to be like on a really high level, on amateur level, a golf player.
Okay.
And I actually started using CrossFit as my fitness program in the States. That's how I got into CrossFit, and I absolutely love the sport. And that's when I decided, hey, okay, I want to open my own box. I didn't open a box in the end, but when I came back in 2015, I wanted to. And in the process of opening a box, I got to learn the previous owner, the founder of the German Throwdown.
Okay.
And we were in contact, and he told me, yeah, like, I want to sell it. And because I thought it's really interesting, we kept talking, and then we got together, and I took over the German Throwdown.
That was 2015, so you started running the Throwdown for 2016. That was last year's.
Exactly. So I took over in the end in May 2016.
Okay.
German Throwdown. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That we're gonna go more into the event and to the Throwdown, but really interesting with the exchanging your handicap in golf to the handicap in CrossFit.
Yeah.
What was your handicap in golf?
My handicap was +3.
+3.
Yeah, so below 0 for
Yeah.
the non.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For the
exactly.
people who are not too comfortable or not too familiar with golf handicap, you start at minus and then you go to 0 and then below 0.
Yeah, that's very good.
So actually you have to add strokes. But,
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
have
to be able to compete with someone
Exactly.
like our level at golf.
Yeah.
Do you still play golf?
Sorry?
You still play golf?
I still play golf. I still play in the Bundesliga on a pretty good level. I was actually on the verge on turning pro in golf. I didn't do it in the end. But yeah, I played a lot of golf in my previous years, and I'm lucky that I got pretty good at it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the first stories I've heard anyone going from golf to CrossFit. Actually,
Yeah, I get a lot of raised eyebrows when I tell the story because it's really unusual.
yeah, no, it's fun. We've been training at a golf facility here in Berlin, also trying to get those also into.
But it's
CrossFit.
not that. I mean, the more professional the sport gets, and the more the edge of where the golfers really need to get like a distinguish between all the guys. I mean, everyone that plays in the pro level can strike I don't know how many yards on the initial shot. Everyone has, but where do you start doing the small adaptations that will lead you to just leapfrog the competition? I think if you see Roy McIlroy, I mean, he just follows a kind of functional fitness routine. There's one guy that's a power shooter in golf, and he just mixes it with CrossFit. So I think there's a lot of, like you say, CrossFit at the end is for every sport. It just helps you build something into everything.
I would like to see the golf WOD going on.
A golf WOD?
Yeah, it's like 100 shots and then 10 burpees in between and 100 shots. No.
But I think it really helps. I mean, the more professional it gets, the more professional you have to be in training golf, no?
For sure. I mean, it's all started with Tiger Woods. I think Tiger Woods is a name for everybody. Yeah. And he was pretty much the first golfer who had like a strict fitness routine. Yeah. And I mean, he was obliterating the competition over like, I don't know, 10 to 15 years. Yeah. And like all the young guys who started CrossFit just of Tiger Woods, they grew up doing golf with fitness. Yeah. Same for me. And nowadays, everybody does fitness on the highest level in golf.
Yeah, exactly. But do you have you done that kind of routine anytime where you have, because you're kind of on a really high stress level in your body, if you would do like 100 burpees and then you have to, hit some drives or do some putting, because putting is more or less really where you also have to control.
So like it doesn't make too much sense to really combine a CrossFit workout with golf, because you really need to be like calm to really play well in golf. And like you shouldn't have a high heart rate. No. And all those things. So to really train with a high heart rate doesn't make sense, because you can actually worsen your technique. But like to do it separately, to really have like those peaks, which we have in CrossFit with the heart rate, is really helpful for golf. Because for example, if you play like a really hilly course and you you go up a steep incline and your heart rate is up, it's good to have like in comparison a lower heart rate to make a better shot for the next golf shot you have. So separately it makes sense. In combination, it doesn't make too much sense.
Where do you see the biggest adaptations that you can take from CrossFit to the golf course?
So there's a huge adaptation in Olympic weightlifting to golf, because obviously a good hip extension and to be stable in the lower body is really important in weightlifting, and that's the exact same thing in golf. Like if you're grounded well, like you can really rip the golf ball, right? If you're shaky and you hit the golf ball, it might go anywhere, but if you're stable, it's fine. And also like to be able to open the hips really quickly gets like transfers in the high club head speed, which then makes the golf ball travel further.
So besides the level of rotation, you have to work on the core balance and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That was my dad is quite an extreme golfer. I mean, he plays 3 times a week. That's what he does. Life, but. It's very interesting when you see these completely different, I would say almost opposite ways, a spectrum of sports, right? So you see CrossFit, you have all these high intensity, super workouts, dodgy places, full of tattoos, and then you see golf, which is the completely opposite image, I would say. It's like open and white shirts and everything like that, no? But there's a way which you can you can mix them and just everyone benefits out of it.
But if you ask like an old-time golfer that was playing in the 70s, he would say like, the golf has no sensibility anymore. It's no, at least this is what my presumption of because golf has usually been very conservative, and now to see these kind of clothes come into the course and colors or whatever that were just unthinkable 20 years ago, and now you have these brands that stuck up, because I can't recall when I was really small that you had you had like the golf brands and stuff, but you didn't have like the big Nike shirts and like so branded that it is. At the moment. Yeah.
I mean, every sport evolves.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you see it in soccer as well. Soccer to be named in Germany.
Yeah.
To make an example, I mean, I think this year it started with the video referee.
Yeah.
If like to see on the video if the ball was in or not, that's something new. There's a lot of hate about it. There's a lot of pro about it, but it just evolves, and that's how it is in
That
any
is
sport.
evolution of sports, exactly. Did you end up in the States because of golf?
Yes.
Or how the story goes? Because you did your MBA in the States, right?
Exactly. I did.
Is it related?
Yeah, it is related. I got a scholarship at a college in the States.
Okay.
And then I did 2 years my MBA there, and for the whole time I played golf, which was a really nice experience because you travel a lot. So I was able to see quite a good amount of states in the United States.
Yeah,
that was nice.
I mean, that really, and I think this might do some benefits for you now also, right? When you also have to travel a lot for the German Throwdown to, meet people and go to all these events and so on. So you're already kind of primed to this kind of level of
sensitive traveling.
Yeah.
Just going there and just boom, have to perform 100% right away, either to get a sponsor or to get someone.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right.
Yeah.
That I'm used to traveling, and obviously I learned it in golf.
Yeah.
But like the big thing personally for me in the States was to like get comfortable with English in written and verbal form.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you're out of school, you don't have any English lessons anymore, and so my English wasn't that great. But obviously, after living 2 years in the States,
kind of forces.
It forces you.
You want to
right?
something, you just better speak English.
So that was a huge benefit.
Or you moved to Berlin.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
No, but it's funny topic that with the languages, because for people that are living outside of Germany, especially for people like living in Scandinavia and so on, we're very used to having everything in English. So we're grown up with English, and everything is kind of half English, half Swedish. In the media also, everything is Englified in some sense. And when you come to Berlin or to Germany, it's really like, okay, here everything is hardcore German on television and radio and so on. So, of course, it's also you have the Englification of German also, where you have some words in German that are English, and then you have some words that are not. Like the most typical word is the German word for cell phone is handy. Some Germans thought that this sounds English, so it's a handy. So it's a nice small caveat to that, but it's nice. Or I'm interested in here because you said outside of school you were never really forced to speak English, or you didn't really did you watch like English movies or YouTube, or how did you kind of prepare for getting into the English environment?
Yeah, so I didn't really prepare at all, to be honest. I was just like diving straight into it.
Yeah.
But like the most English I got in contact with was more like watching How I Met Your Mother or Big Bang Theory in English, because it's just better to watch it in English than in German.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much, I was in contact with English, to be honest.
It's like when I saw Simpsons first time in German, and you see Homer doing the dough, but in German it's saying like no, you can't do that.
I mean, but still, for example, Chile is the same thing. You don't get exposure to English. I mean, Spanish, and people don't speak English. people speak English, but you go to the supermarket here in Germany, and everyone, but probably in Berlin, but everyone speaks English right away. I mean, the bus driver speaks English. You don't have that where I come from, so kind of that exposure to just being thrown down to into like a city. Like a language is completely kind of you know about it. Yeah, you learn English at school, but then it's like, whoa, you have to live with that.
Yeah,
it's quite a shock.
But I wanted to add something to the example you did about handy.
Yeah.
And one word or like one saying that I really love from like how the Germans use it compared to how English speaking people would use it is public viewing.
Yeah.
Because in Germany it's just like spectating a sport event, right? Yeah. And like normally it's mean like to go to see that person, right? Yeah. And like luckily I never said it in the States. Hey, you want to do public viewing with me or something like that? Because it would just be super creepy. Exactly. But like I think it's quite funny.
Then going up to CrossFit, so you were in Charlotte doing your MBA, golf, and then boom, CrossFit. Got hooked with it right away. I mean, I don't know anybody that's been here in this podcast that didn't got hooked with CrossFit right away, right? How was that first experience, and how that translate into, okay, you know what, I want to build a box?
Actually, I didn't train in a CrossFit box in the States. I was training in the football gym, but because the football players and also the baseball players who also worked out there also do weightlifting, Olympic weightlifting. They got bumper plates and barbells and like all the stuff you need for a good CrossFit workout. That's why I was able to do CrossFit there, which was pretty cool. And as you mentioned, I absolutely fell in love with it. I saw that I had a lot of fun doing the workouts. I saw the results. And then I got hooked with it.
So how did you do that? Because there were no CrossFit coach there then. Mm-hmm. How did you did you go to the CrossFit.com or where did you pick your workouts for?
Yeah, so like Olympic weightlifting, I got taught by the football fitness trainer. Yeah. So I had a coach for Olympic weightlifting. I'd say learning Olympic weightlifting just off YouTube tutorials doesn't work. Yeah. But other than that, I was really, I think to that date, I watched every single YouTube video about CrossFit, to be honest. Like everything, like from the main page over Carl Paioli, I think, who was here before, and Kelly's Thread videos about mobility and all those sort of things. The games, obviously. And I mean, they put up so much knowledge on YouTube, social media, that you can actually learn a lot from it.
Yeah, but still, isn't it a little bit? You've never done CrossFit before, and this is something we've discussed also before. You've never seen it, and if your first impression of CrossFit is like competitive CrossFit, it's like whoa, it's a completely different sport. You see, when you watch the games, we were last year in German Throwdown, and you see the people doing it. I mean, we got there were the masters doing workouts, and you see these guys totally ripped, doing stuff that you say, what, you know what? I'm the same age, and there's no way I can do that. Yeah. So isn't that a bit of a shock at one point you start looking at that and also learn that that's probably the 1% of the population that looked at that, and 99% of people that are doing CrossFit is normal people, regular, average Joes like us. Like for everyday stuff. Right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's also like a big hurdle, not a hurdle, but a task for the actual gyms to like change the image of CrossFit. Because if you watch the games or attend the German Throwdown, like you don't see the regular CrossFitter. Those are like the top 1%. Who sometimes even do it for a living or like really on a high level. And every like elite athlete like doesn't do it for being healthy. Like you see it in any sport, it doesn't matter which sport you do. If you do it on elite level, it's not healthy. You can see it in soccer. Obviously, soccer is not healthy for you. I mean, how many soccer players are injured all the time, right? Yeah. And
even after they finish their careers, they're completely crooked.
Exactly, like the bodies are damaged so badly, right? And that's a big thing. Like when people ask me, okay, like especially non-CrossFitters, and they talk to me about CrossFit, and I tell them, yeah, that is probably the best way to have a healthy body. And then they see the guys at the games or at the German Throwdown, and they're like, okay, that looks really, really intense.
Really
okay, yeah, those elite level athletes, that the last 1%, you're never going to do that. You're going to have a coach with you, and you're going to start with the PVC and not with the 100 kilo snatch.
No, exactly.
I always had this idea. You have to help me if I get the idea that I want to do like a special Olympics in that way, because I always wanted to have like an Olympics for like you have regular people and the pros doing the same workout, and you see like the difference on stage. Like, okay, this is a regular fit guy, and this is a top level, where you really see how far behind. But also for like a bit, how do you say, obese people also would be also very fun to have like a high jump for if you have like a 25% overweight and body weight.
Yeah, I mean, it's
spectator sport.
Yeah, exactly. But one point is like we have all these images of where every day we see media, we see videos, we see everything. We see the 1%, we see the top. I mean, nobody watches a YouTube video of me doing CrossFit. I mean, it was boring, bad technique, and doing it. But you go watch Matt Fraser and you see, whoa, that guy's a machine. And then you try to do the same thing in the bar. It's like, come on, this guy doesn't work in 2 minutes, it takes me 20 minutes to do it. So people have to really learn how to balance those expectations. Pros, I would say with golf, you see Tiger Woods, yeah, amazing. Then you try to hit the ball is not going to go for more than a meter the first time. It's like, what? I cannot even hit the ball.
For sure.
That kind of
yeah.
learn.
And I mean, this is the really good thing about the sport events. It gets the people involved, but then the next step must happen, that they learn how they can do it, and it will be different. And I think, this is just really important for the people to understand. But first of all, it gets the people involved, and that's a good thing. It grows the sport, and that's also one of the major, or like the major vision I have with the German Throwdown, to get the people involved. I never did a study on it, obviously, but I would assume that quite a lot of people, maybe more than half of the people who do CrossFit, are doing it because of the games, because they heard about it, because they saw something with the games.
How are you managing through the German Throwdown to try to create this connection between the sporting event and development of people through the sport? You're doing what kind of ideas you have about it?
Yeah, so first of all, it's important to have a big platform, which is done in a professional way. So you get the media, the professional media involved, who really do have a big reach. This can be TV channels, radio stations, newspaper, anything like that. So first step, professional platform. So they are interested to work with the platform, because they wouldn't do it if it's something.
It has to be a high quality product.
Exactly.
But I really, we talked about this before the podcast, but really what makes CrossFit interesting for any media platform or like a broadcaster is the fact that people that are attending or watching CrossFit videos and stuff, they don't care if it's live or not as much as in other sports, because it's not so much about who won the competition, but it's how they won it. So you want to see every mistake they made on the way, and usually it's so many events. So yeah, you know what? I'm not going to watch the entire event today. I'm just going to watch like the first event today, and then like in 1 week I look at the second part and then the third part. So it's really a sport where people engage much more into the details of what's happening. It's and it's also like if you look at from a social point of view, it's also a sport where you can have a lot of talks in between, like when the actual competition is going on, you can actually have a conversation, or if you're watching it on the television, you can have a talk at the same time, like as in football or soccer or whatever. So it's really like a sport that is friendly for viewers to engage in. I wanted to go into a bit nitty about this thing that fascinates me, because usually what happens with a lot of people that get into CrossFit is that they get here through the community. So they get the spirits and they're like, okay, I'm hooked because it's like a team sport. I'm part of something and so on. And one aspect of many forget is that actually just the training modality or methodology is so good also, that you also get hooked. And that's, I assume, what happened with you, that you were doing your workouts in a not CrossFit affiliate because you just liked the workouts.
The results we were getting were good.
Yeah, exactly. And also when I did my level 1, I did my level 1 in Charlotte as well, and when I wasn't still in the States.
Yeah.
And the level 1 really opened my eyes how CrossFit is meant to be.
Yeah.
And especially coming from watching the games and seeing these crazy intensity workouts by the athletes, like the seminar really educated me in how CrossFit is meant to be, that you do basic functional movements in the good movement pattern.
Yeah.
You learn that, you get good at it, and then you slowly increase the intensity.
Yeah.
Like based on a technique level that you can't get injured.
Yeah.
And that's why I would say it's probably the best workout methodology to gain good health.
And also what I think is so good, and because there's a lot of critique also against the level 1. Any monkey can go to the level 1 and then one weekend and you're a CrossFit coach. But I think that's also the benefit of it, that you can actually get through this quite fast, but you have to practice it. So you have to, what happens with a lot of people that do this is that there is just so much knowledge in this. So what happens with everyone that does CrossFit is that they walk around and they talk about and they show, this is how you do a handstand, no, this is how, and then you refine your technique and you refine, and this kind of constant hunt after better knowledge. Because what you also get taught is that, hey, we can constantly improve. This is not, it's not like a framework that is just meant to be forever. So it's more like, hey, if we use these three different ideas, then we're always going to try to evolve, and we're not just staying at the same workouts, same movements as we did for 10 years ago. No, that's why the games have always new movements, because we're always trying to challenge new.
I mean, the level 1 is not the end, it's the beginning.
It's the beginning, exactly. But still, I mean, it's the beginning, and it's a very cool idea of it. I mean, you really realize what you were saying. Also, you still have this idea of CrossFit. You see media, you see YouTube, elite level fitness. But then you realize that this is for the rest of the population. This is for everyone. Everyone can do it. I mean, we were doing level 1, and you have 60-year-old people doing level 1, and you have, I don't know, youngest was 20 years old people doing it. So it's a huge spectrum of people. None of them, or maybe 1 or 2, like competitive athletes. All the rest of the people that average shows just want to get fit, getting eager to get some knowledge, to just perform better and do better in life. I mean, getting healthier.
Yeah, and also, I mean, also the aspect of that it also comes with a idea of nutrition and so on. So I'm thinking of other like sports, just sports, regular sports, ice-hockey from my example, golf, rugby, and yeah, we played on higher levels and so on. And there was some talk about food. Yeah, you should, eat enough and good foods and so on. But there's no, I mean, now on really high levels, yeah, there's some science, but to be true, the most, even higher level athletes in most sports, they have no fucking idea what they're putting into their bodies. they're just so good athletes that they can work with bad diet and still be good. And for many people, that's just, they don't have the genetics to be able to handle that kind of carbs or fats or whatever, so they never get to that level. But these athletes are like masters in adapting also with the poor diet. And what I'm saying is that a lot of these, like in sports, there's no real framework. If you start ice hockey, there's no framework saying there's these diet lines that would be good. If you start with ice hockey, that would make you a better ice hockey player over time. There's nothing like that. If you start with golf, is there any like a framework as a golf teacher if you start? So here's like just a fistful of rules to think about when you want to reach top level in golf.
No, obviously not. I wanted to say that I want to mention that when we're talking about golf again. I mean, you can definitely play golf on a good level without being really fit. I mean, that's pretty obvious, and just as you mentioned it, you can play golf really good, but it helps you to have a good fitness.
Yeah,
I do believe it's a sport. It's a very demanding sport. After all, you play for a few hours. You have to keep a lot of concentration, rotation. You have a bad fitness level. Your back is going to ache at the end of the 18 holes and stuff like that. But some people don't get it. Probably it's an amateur level, like a recreational level. It's the level of demand probably is not that big. I mean, really have to push it. Remember, my dad went to the doctor and the doctor asked, "What sport do you do?" "Yeah, you play golf." "I play golf." "Okay, but what sport do you do?" It's like, but the thing is that it's pretty demanding when you go to a higher level. I mean, like every sport maybe.
Yeah, like golf is not the sport to get the best beach body. That's obvious, and
but it works accuracy, strength, precision, concentration, balance, different level of fitness.
Anybody who says like, okay, golf is a good fitness routine, no, obviously not. And
I talked to my dad about it.
Now, golf is intense, especially if you play it on a really high level. For example, pro player, they play like 5 events back to back, and they usually fly from one tournament to the other. Yeah. They play then, I think, from like noon on Monday to Sunday night. Then they hop on the plane Sunday night, have a little bit of longer sleep on Monday, and then have the next tournament. And that going for 5 weeks, you're really, really tired after that. Right. So you got to be fit. What I wanted to say is just, okay, you can compensate with like a really high level of talent to be a good golfer. Other in CrossFit, and that's what I think is really, really amazing by the athlete, that they're working out 2 to 3 times a day. They are giving everything, and they're watching every single bit they eat to perform at the high level CrossFit events. Like, hats off to that.
Yeah. You see, with the German Throwdown, you've probably been around a few throwdowns or competitions around Europe, or how have you seen the progress of those competitions? Or how have you seen the progress of athletes? Now we're talking about how athletes train, how they eat, how they rest, because the 3 elements that really, really, really matter. How have you seen those changes in the last couple of months or the last couple of years?
It's tough for me to do a comparison, because I'd say I haven't been to enough competitions to really make an estimate here. Okay. And
But which throwdowns have you been there? For example, this year or last year, you were talking about the French Throwdown.
Yeah, I've been to the
Berlin Throwdown.
Exactly, I've been to the French Throwdown this year, to the Berlin, to the Beach Throwdown. Obviously to smaller throwdowns in the boxes, little box competitions. Mm-hmm. But talking about the major ones, those are the 3 big ones I've been to this summer.
We were discussing with Yanni, I think, as it was a guest a couple of months ago, a couple of chapters ago. He was saying how big the increase when the level of participants is huge, the level of organization, the level of requirements. If you want to set a good throwdown, a good competition, now it's just not enough to have like a nice venue. Now you have like equipment and sponsors and how people start demanding things that are come on, it's a really sport event. I demand a stadium to watch
and still, like, as in the CrossFit Games also, in the highest level of event and within the CrossFit realm is that, like, almost everyone is a volunteer. So you're working with guys that are not even doing this for money. So you're also, at the same time, it's very hard to have any kind of demands. So you can say, hey, you have to get this done. It's 10 hours to go. And so like, I'm tired. So,
how you manage that?
Yeah.
For the build up or everything.
Just the organization.
The company has an organization. The holding company of German Throwdown is a professional organization, right?
Yeah.
So how many people work there, and then how many people volunteer for the German Throwdown as an event for the weekend?
Yeah, it's like there are a lot of volunteers involved, and I'm really happy to have good friends that help me, and like we have a core team of around 5 to 6 people, with everybody have their own like kind of department, if you would say, like there's the volunteers to organize, then the build up and social media and those sort of things. And but like at the moment in 2017, like besides the CrossFit Games, like the sport is really young, especially compared to any other sport we know. And with that being said, it's like it has to really grow to get on a comparative professional level. And that's why it is so great to have this community, this CrossFit community, to really help out, and really I'm motivated to help. I think we had around 80 volunteers last year at the German Throwdown, and that's just amazing. I mean, you really got to honor every single volunteer to spend the whole weekend to make this a great event. And what I really loved last year at the German Throwdown was that the athletes and everybody who was, like the spectators and everybody, really appreciated the work of the volunteers. Especially from non-CrossFitters who attended the event and are not familiar with the CrossFit community. They were overwhelmed by the positive atmosphere between the people. Like they were like surprised. I mean, right? Especially like looking into soccer, like there's so many friction between the two teams, right? And a lot of times not nice words are exchanged, and so people were really fascinated that everybody was just like happy to do CrossFit.
Yeah, it's funny. We can kind of, when you do CrossFit for a longer period of time, you kind of take those things for granted. And when you see someone from outside looking in, it's like, why is everyone so happy about?
That's not your athlete.
That's not your athlete. That's not even from your country. But he did a great job. Come on.
He just PR'd his match. That's awesome.
Congratulations. No, but he
did 10
beat your
unbroken
friend.
muscle-ups.
Whoa, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It definitely creates a sense of community, and everybody's
and that's really something that is specific to the sports, because you can have spectators that they maybe follow someone through social media or something like that, and they know this guy has never snatched over 100K or something like that, and then they see that in an event, and they're like, oh, I'm so happy for him, because you've seen the story behind, and people are already engaging. But I wonder how that is when you're like a Barcelona fan, and then you see Ronaldo like do a flip kick, whatever. It's like, oh, that's great. Did you see that goal? Nobody never done that kind of goal before. Yeah, no. Usually it doesn't happen, right?
No, it's like this sense of community, of family, still small sport probably, that also helps. Everybody kind of knows each other. You follow all the athletes. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, just like every box pretty much like creates their own community. It's just amazing, right? I mean, if you're into CrossFit and you traveled a bit, if you've been to quite a few boxes, you learn that in every box there's a great community. You usually get welcomed with open arms, and it's just a great time being in the CrossFit box. I think that's also a big factor why we love the sport. Not only the fitness methodology, but also the community.
Yeah, definitely.
Where do you train at the moment?
I train in Wiesbaden at CrossFit Gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a new gym or is that old?
I think the gym is now about 2 years old.
Okay.
Nice place.
Yeah. So we recommend people to go there. See Ben have a sweat.
Last year at the throwing, you have quite a few big athletes. You had Adrian Mundweiler won it. They were on the female side.
Yeah, we had the Icelandic girls. One of them
girls.
was on the podcast also, Jakobina. And
Anna Olofsdottir.
Yeah, they're both pregnant now.
They're both pregnant.
So we're not seeing any comebacks from them.
They're not coming back, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a great thing.
Laura Horvath won last year, no?
Laura Horvath was there. She will be coming back.
She was in regionals this year, Marine regionals this year.
Yes.
Is she coming back this year?
She's coming back. She will defend the title.
Very good.
Like, try to defend the title, obviously. Yeah.
Who else is going to be on the women's side? You have like wild cards, or qualifiers just started.
So exactly, the qualifier just started just 1 week ago.
Yeah.
So it's tough to say who's going to be in. But yeah, from the wildcard side, we will have quite nice names at the event in November for sure.
How has been the response from the public, from the CrossFit community for the qualifiers? I mean, regarding comparing it to last year, do you have increased numbers? Are you expecting more people this year? Last year was quite a big event. So how are you seeing the growth perspective of the German Throwdown?
Okay, I didn't fully get the question.
Regarding the qualifiers, you see increasing people participating.
Yes, definitely. I'd say around 30%.
And now
to give you numbers because you asked for it.
Yeah, very good. That's good. And then for the German Throwdown as an event itself, do you expect more people? Are you getting more sponsors and getting more people interested in just, hey, you know what, we saw it last year, it was a great event, we want to be involved with it. How has it been working out for that event, particularly for the weekend?
If the numbers of athletes increase at the event?
Basically the sponsorships, visitors, how you say that?
So athletes.
You don't know about visitors, of course, but how you say about demand for Instagram or social media awareness, stuff like that.
Exactly. Let's split it up in 3 parts: athletes, spectators, and sponsors.
Yeah.
Athletes is pretty much the same because you only have a limited time to put in
capacity.
Workouts. Yeah, that limits the capacity. So you can't really change that.
No, you can't have 200 in each category.
Yeah, that's just
it doesn't fit.
Especially if you want to give the athletes like a good test of fitness.
Yeah.
You can't just have one workout because it will be like really limited in the test.
Yeah.
So you have a good amount of workouts to really test the fittest. So that just limits the capacity how many people can get into the final. Talking about spectators, the engagement is increased like really intensely. Social media, I mean, just have social media as a benchmark, which is quite a good benchmark because so much goes on CrossFit on social media.
Yeah.
And I think for example, the Instagram account grew from 750 1 year ago to I think we now are over 3,000. And also the engagement of the boxes and everything is increased. And that's for us a great feedback that the community liked the German Throwdown in 2016 and that we're on the right way. I mean, it wasn't perfect. Like last year, there wasn't not everything was perfect. That's what I wanted to say. But I mean, it's also a learning process for us, and we are evolving. Like we talked about, the sport evolves, the championship, the setting evolves as well, and that's our next big step for us.
So talking about, I think like mistakes or failures are usually people are terrified of doing mistakes and failures, but usually they are the best ways to learn. something.
We either win or learn.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't learn,
That's
then you're stupid. But if you do a mistake, it's always like, if you look in hindsight, it's always like, I did this mistake and that changed this X. And what was your kind of, or what kind of mistake or mistakes did you have that you like instantly think of that you like, okay, I'm going to change that?
Yeah, so there are three big things.
Yeah.
Like the biggest things that we are improving this year from last year.
Yeah.
And before I get into three things,
Yeah.
like I wanted to put out that like we're so thankful for the feedback we get from the community, because from the German Throwdown we see ourselves in the community. We're not like an outside part of it, but we are in the community. We live the community, we live CrossFit. And that's why we love to hear the feedback, because the German Throwdown is for the community, it's for the sport, and that's what we're thankful for. And the three biggest things we got back was the grandstands were too small. People had a tough time to watch the athletes, and actually quite a lot of people were standing on benches and tables, and I was really happy when the event was over and nobody was hurt. I saw that and I was just like, okay, I'm going to look away. I didn't see that.
Don't hit a PR so nobody jumps. Please don't do that.
Yeah, but that just came back to that the numbers of spectators were way bigger than we expected. So we have triple the sizes of grandstands this year.
Yeah.
The next thing is the food topic. There wasn't enough food in the end. I think the food trucks were sold out around 1 or 2 on Sunday, and as we know, CrossFitters are hungry.
Those burgers were really good.
The burgers were good.
Yeah,
but same thing, were way more people than we expected, so food trucks weren't enough.
Yeah.
So this year we're not going to have 2 food trucks, but 4. So we're really positive that we can, even if there's an increase by 50 to 100% of spectators, everybody will have enough
capacity
food.
To fulfill that.
Exactly.
Perfect.
And the last big thing was the information, like information to spectators, to athletes, what is going on, where and when, what are the workouts, when is my athlete starting, and all those sort of things. And that was just like in the end, our team was a bit overwhelmed, like how much work it actually is, especially like when it gets really close to the weekend.
Yeah.
Like what comes up, like because it was the first time for our team,
Yeah.
we were really overwhelmed.
Yeah.
But now we learned it, and we are actually preparing the information, for example, like way in advance, to really get it out that everybody understands what is going on where and when.
I think this is a very good, like a call out to a lot of people that go to events and that think like, oh, what's this? I don't have any information. What is this shit? And what is that? Why is there no toilet paper here? Why? And all these kinds of things. And when you put them into perspective of like, hey, I'm just a dude trying to make something happen here, and obviously you're thankful for spectators coming and giving their feedback and so on, but also I think it's very important for people to also understand and appreciate that how much work people put into creating these kinds of events, because it's a huge effort. And I just wanted to ask you, like, with regarding of the scheduling and everything, because when it comes to that day, like everything has to really fit in that schedule, because there's a lot of people moving at the same time, and they have to be on the floor at one time, and then everyone has to get this schedule up ahead so they can plan their day a bit, because some people might work that day, so they want to see when they can come. And obviously, I guess assume you're using like social media to post like, okay, Saturday we're going to have this kind of or like these hours and these heats and everything. But since it's also so crowded in the social media, what's your strategy there with to really get the schedules out to people? Because I can just assume that it's a big hurdle, even though people have newsletters and they have. But we get
we get so many hundreds of emails today that probably you get an email, it's like, okay, one more, boom.
Yeah, that's just how it is nowadays with Facebook and Instagram. You don't reach every follower you have. No. That's just how the algorithm of Facebook works. That's how they make so much money. That's why Zuckerberg is so rich.
They say he's running for president next time. how rich he is.
Yeah, so it's really tough to reach the spectators and the community through Facebook and Instagram. So, I mean, obviously you have newsletters, but also not everybody is subscribed. And so to do it through the internet is pretty tough.
Yeah.
It's actually better to have, when the people are on site, that they get the information on site.
Yeah.
I mean, the other way is that people are like really checking regularly on social media and the webpage and everything. But as you guys mentioned, there's so much noise in the internet, and you get so much input. And especially if you have a full-time job, you can't just check every web page you're interested in, right? So it's tough to get the information out, but to have the information on site is the least we can do.
Yeah.
That everybody who's there is really informed.
Yeah. And this year you have, what categories do you have this year in the event?
We have teens this year, right?
Teens?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
teenies.
so gets switched up easily because we have teams.
Yeah.
Right. And teens.
Yeah. It's kind of
so that's really tough, especially like in the English names. But yeah, we have the youth there. To put it differently.
Easy way to do it.
Yeah, I think that's a really important step for the sport in Germany. Because with that, the youth has a platform to work for, to really get engaged with the sport, and obviously the youth will be the future in CrossFit, and hopefully we'll get competitors at the games, and that the German CrossFit community really has someone to cheer for.
Yeah,
that would be amazing.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking out loud now, but like to have this German Throwdown, and also as we had the Berlin Throwdown just here 1 month ago, is that to get these athletes from like German athletes to the games, we have to have a bigger base of athletes, because right now there's zero. Zero Germans at the games podium or games floor.
Yeah.
So for the German community, it's very important to actually get more people into the sport.
For sure. I mean, that's a really big reason. Like how to get elite athletes is to start them young.
Yeah.
Right. So you gotta have like a big pool of potential CrossFitters, young CrossFitters that might evolve into elite level athlete. Yeah. And it would be awesome to see that the youth in CrossFit grows in Germany.
What is your because still if we look at other sports like or other, I think we talked about this with Giannis also, is that why haven't we seen Germans at the top 10 at the games yet?
Even regional level.
Yeah, because we've seen a lot of Scandinavian names there, right? And on the female side, they are dominating, and they're coming from a country mostly from there. We have a population smaller than one part of the city in Berlin. So, yeah,
I mean, talking about Iceland.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just amazing that they got so many good athletes.
Yeah.
This really goes kind of against what you would usually think how it works.
Yeah.
Usually would say, okay, in the States there are like 250 million people now.
Yeah.
Obviously there are good athletes, but if you look into a country that have 300,000, I think, it's amazing. But to put a comparison up between Germany and the Scandinavians, I think CrossFit
or even Switzerland. I mean,
Switzerland. Yeah, I think when I did
Swiss has now Lukas and Adrian
Wundwieler, Jonas Müller.
Exactly.
Just to say a few male names.
Yeah.
I did my homework. When I did my homework for opening a box, I was looking at is the German CrossFit market a potential growth market?
Yeah.
And I found numbers that in Switzerland and in Sweden, for example, the number of boxes compared to the Swiss and Swedish people per capita, is 5 times higher than in Germany.
Yeah.
And that's coming back to your question, that I think is the reason why there are good Swiss and Swedish athletes, but not as many Germans.
Yeah.
I think we had this discussion. One of the things that we came up to was that Germans have so many options in the sports area. I mean, you have facilities what you want to do, actually. You want to swim, you have pools everywhere, you have tracks everywhere, you have tennis courts everywhere.
Yeah.
So the competition, the level to getting good athletes is way bigger. In football world champions, so you have a lot of kids, athletes going into football, going into so many other sports, while the other countries probably don't have such a huge sports background, sports history, or less amount of facilities, so just people go boom directly into one sport. This is what we were talking also with the Jacobina, her sister Eddie, that the fact that it's such a small country, also at the end it's a benefit because all of them train together and they push each other.
Yeah,
so at the
all
end,
the best ones.
The best ones, they just gather at CrossFit Reykjavik and just train for a week, let's do a camp, and then boom, they expand the capacity, and then they do it again, and then again. And they're all friends, and they work together.
I think the Germans, they go to Mallorca or something like that every year.
They go to Mallorca to camp. And then
no, but for training CrossFit, right?
Yeah,
so they've started to train together, but like Switzerland, I guess, has this, because like Ramon Yusin there really created the first kind of metropole for CrossFitters to really come to. So you have a lot of people that have been training together through Basil and through him, because he knows everyone. So he connects everyone that is a good athlete in Switzerland to like, hey, you should train with this, and I can put up that.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually like a economic theory as well. Like it's named cluster.
Yeah.
You can see it in so many places. To name a few in economy terms, the Silicon Valley, the southern of Germany, Silicon Valley about tech companies, southern of Germany about car companies, the marble industry in Italy, and that's the same thing for in the sport.
Yeah.
And but like
the knowledge is there, the capacity is there, the athletes are there, so you just build it.
Yeah, but for the youth in Germany, they have so many sports that they can attend for nearly no money. And I think that's the biggest crusher for the youth in Germany, because it's just too expensive in comparison to all the other things they can do. So all the association we have here in gymnastics, soccer, handball, to name a few.
But
I think
and like CrossFit economics, for those that have not looked into the CrossFit economics and haven't run a box and so on. Obviously, you did your homework before you wanted to open a box and so on. So you also crushed some numbers, and you've seen that it's not possible to have a membership of 20 euros. You're never going to survive to have a good quality coaching or anything with those kind of member rates.
Yeah, exactly. And that's also big difference between CrossFit and other sports, because CrossFit is not an Olympic sport. Pretty much behind any other sport, there's a big association behind who has an interest in supporting the youth.
Yeah.
We do not have that in CrossFit, especially not in Germany, that there's money free just to support the youth.
No.
So it would come down to the actual owner to say, yes, I want to support the youth. If you're below 18, you get a contract, I don't know, for 20 euros. I don't want to earn money on you. It's just because I want to grow the sport. But like to get 270 owners into that mindset is way tougher than to have one association.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
It would be awesome if the boxes will get to a financial level that they say, okay, we have the capacity, we can put up a coach that just do the youth. We lose money on it, but that's fine. We love the sport, we love to grow the sport, we can afford it.
Yeah.
It's fine for us. That would be awesome to have in the future.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there are obviously different ways to get there, but that would be amazing to see. I think from the CrossFit, like economics, it's very hard because of the place demand, and as the coach demand, I mean, you can have an owner, you can have a box or a coach that really wants to train like youth or whatever for free and so on, but usually it's like, okay, if you have a box, there's a limited amount of hours and spots. So if you're giving up spots that are for free or whatever, that means somebody else or the owner has to pay, or it's going to be out of business if it's too many, for example. So it's a hard struggle, I think. Like the box economics are really made to be small in that sense, that all the bigger boxes that could make it possible maybe don't have that passion that you have in the smaller ones that can drive that kind of thinking. But it would be definitely something very interesting to see, to hook up with the community and so on. And you talked about this, that now for the German Throwdown, that you're also going to have a pre-event for the box owners in Germany, right?
Yeah, exactly. We are having a kind of a conference.
Yeah.
Well, it's a conference. It's a conference the day before the weekend. So the Friday before the German Throwdown, we will have a conference in the same area.
On the same venue?
Not on the same venue, because that's the day of the build-up. It doesn't work there, but in the box close by.
Okay.
And this conference is meant to have we will have speakers who got really far as a box and growing the box. Usually have a box for over 5 years, have a couple hundred members, financially run well, maybe have full-time employees, which is really not the standard in Germany for boxes. And so they will speak how to evolve as a box owner, maybe also as a coach, but more the business side. What do I have to do to be financially stable? Because at the end of the day, a CrossFit box has to run financially well.
Has to be sustainable.
To live.
Like every business has to be sustainable in the long term, and able to grow. I mean.
Yeah, and so to evolve the not only the sport with the event, but also that the owners can evolve as an owner, we will have this conference.
So for this conference, it's also open for box owners outside of Germany, or is it thought of just for Germans?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't decided yet if it will be in German or English, but I'm 90% sure we will go with German. I mean, Berlin is really it's no problem to talk here in English.
Yeah.
But the rest of Germany is
different. Berlin is different. I'm not saying every box owner obviously can speak English. I'm not saying anything else. But I think it's better to really, because it's a German event, to have it in German, because the most box owners can speak better German than English.
I believe it too. I mean, you're in Germany, you should be in German.
Exactly.
That's the first experience, and then you can see, like we said, the German Throwdown, you will grow out of the first experience, and this is more focused on the German audience or just the German.
I mean, CrossFit is so in English, obviously, we all know that, but at the same time, I think it's good to have a conference in German.
I agree.
Jawohl. Yeah. So more about the venue per se. You said there's we have the teens, we have teams also, and you have masters, right? Is it just one category masters?
No,
or?
35 to 44 and 45 and up.
Okay. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of people on that competition floor, which also ignites the community more, because of course it's nice to see all these guys that are doing super hard work and are more like pros in the sport, but then also like the masters and teens, they're not usually sponsored by anyone, or so it's just
passion out of it.
It's just a lot of blood and tears connected to that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So and now the qualifications are out. The first one just closed, right?
No, not yet. We're now talking Friday the 25th, and the registration closed on the 24th.
Oh.
Yeah.
But the first workout runs until the 27th.
Oh, yeah. So end of this week.
Exactly.
But,
so they got around 9 days to put in the workout.
225 reps. Yeah, 75. Yeah. 75 calorie rows, 75 burpees of the rower,
Exactly.
75 chest to bar pull-ups.
What was your time?
I haven't done it yet this year, to be honest.
Tanka was 25 minutes. Pretty tough workout.
Like, I got a lot of messages, private messages, that I have to do this workout because it was hurting everybody so bad. And they're like, okay, if we have to do the workout, you definitely have to do the workout as well. And I'm just like, hey, Gregor did the workouts, but
who's programming the qualifiers and the throwdown?
Exactly. The owner of CrossFit Rhein-Neckar, Gregor Schreckle, programmed the workouts. And
so you know who to blame, people.
Exactly. No, but I will.
Benedict hands.
Yeah.
We put a link in.
Yeah, like, dislike him.
No, but I will do the workout for sure. I just haven't had the time yet.
Yeah.
It's a really busy time to run the qualifier.
Yeah.
I mean, if you have signed up, I think 1,500 people or something. There are a lot of questions on Facebook, per email, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
So, who do you call when you? This is kind of a bit off topic, but maybe it has to do with it. Who do you call for like advice or business advice or CrossFit advice? Do you have any like go-to guy?
Yeah, I actually do have my go-to guys. One is my captain in golf. He is really like knowledge. He has a big knowledge in business.
Yeah.
So anything like that, which has nothing to do with CrossFit, I can ask him. Other than that, I talk a lot to Gregor.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so experienced in competitions. I think he's the German athlete that went to regionals the most, if I'm not mistaken. And he also runs a CrossFit box for now 5 years or even longer. So he has a lot of experience, and it's always great to talk to him.
Yeah.
Love it. And then also,
big train over that.
yeah. And the other guy I talk to regularly is Simon Müller.
Yeah.
Also the commentator of the German Throwdown, owner of CrossFit St. Pauli.
He's gonna be this year on the floor also.
Yeah, he will be there as well. He is also a really knowledgeable guy.
Do you know how many tattoos he has?
I don't know.
We have to call him, ask him.
Yeah, call him, ask him. But this is a question.
I know he did a new one.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Is it a new one? Yeah.
Have to check.
No, but those are the guys I talk to in CrossFit.
Yeah.
Really smart guys.
Who's more on the floor? Do you have any other guy?
A co-commentator.
Yeah.
So we had Theresa Meyer last year as a co-commentator.
Yeah.
But she actually tries to qualify herself.
Okay.
So if she qualifies, she obviously will not be commentating.
Yeah.
But if she's unlucky and can't qualify, she also committed to commentate again.
So are you judging and like, oh, that's not a rep?
That's a no rep. Sorry.
Actually, this year we're running a judging system more like in the open.
Yeah.
That is more open, that people can sign up if they're a level 1 or have an online judges certificate, so they can sign up and can judge the videos. So it's not only our team. I think that's great for transparency as well. Just gets out everything. Okay, that was real. What was that? No, it's open. If we can see you got a good experience in judging, and this is also an ongoing process, we're looking, okay, how did they judge? And if we see, okay, this person fails regularly, we can say, okay, you're not judging anymore, because obviously this has to be 100% good, right? But this is the process this year.
Yeah, I mean, judging is terribly hard. So I understand, like, for anyone that is doing judging, it's also the same thing. Like to think about that as an athlete also, or not an athlete, but a spectator, to see that it's super hard to be a judge also, because you can be the most perfect, best judge, but you also miss things, and that's why you say like everything is probably not 100%, but as you kind of get to a level when you see that, like, most of the times it's correct, and everyone has their good and bad days, but to expect from someone to be super 100% every time is very hard within judging, like in any sport.
Yeah, for sure. And also tough in judging, especially in online competition, is that there are so many videos to judge. It's just so much work. And if you think, just to make an example, if there are 1,000 people signed up, and there's one workout, and the workout is 15 minutes long, it's 1,000 times 15 minutes to watch. And that's why,
a lot of content.
like, if, for example, if on Sunday night the submission is the deadline is reached for the first workout, on midnight the leaderboard is not final, because people tend to put in the workouts in the very last minute, and then it just takes a few days to really look it through. So it takes a little bit of time. But then there's also like the judging at an event, and I have really high respect for any judge that takes on the responsibility to judge. Because
what are the requirements to be a judge at the event? If people listening to or watching would like to, is there open positions, or just you got a team of judges that you look at?
So we're looking at a team of judges. I think we worked around with like 23 people last year, and it's an open application process at the beginning, and then we look into, okay, how experienced is that person, and if they can put up like 5 big events where they have judged, this will usually be a good pick. But what I wanted to add is for the event judge, like, even if you're a really experienced judge, I mean, we see it at the games as well. I mean, those are usually like also seminar staff members, so they really understand the movements. They understand CrossFit very, very well, but they still do no reps or reps where it was wrong. It's just, if it happens on the floor, it's so hectic, it's so much adrenaline going on, it's just difficult. It's the same in soccer, right? Okay, back again, Germany, soccer, right? But like, even in the World Cup, they do misjudgings, and they're really the best referees. That's just how it is. But I think
you don't have a second to just reassess the situation. It's not like, okay, I want to see the replay of that chest to bar. No, you have to just adjust.
No, I mean, if you do butterfly pull-ups, I mean, how long does it take to do 2 reps? I don't know, 2 seconds, maybe 3. It's tough. Yeah, but I think we can see in the athletes that they appreciate it more and more. That they really understand, okay, I got a tough job here as an athlete, I really want to do my best, but I also understand that the judge wants to judge me in the best way possible. And I like to see that happening. And that's also great for the sport, because we talked about so much that the sport championship can be a good platform to introduce new people to CrossFit. So it's also important that the athlete represent their sport in the best way possible. And I like that it really.
Yeah,
works
nobody
like
wants to see a guy complaining in the floor because he gets no rep or something.
that. No, it doesn't look good to the spectators, and it's mostly doesn't look good on him in the end.
That's the thing at the end. Yeah. Where can we find information regarding Throwdown? Where's the social media webpage? Where is all?
Good question, obviously. No, it's actually pretty simple. The website is called germanthrowdown.de. The social media channels are all called German Throwdown.
I put links into that.
Yeah.
Link in the description.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe.
Exactly. All the time.
No, like those are the main channels. German Throwdown, really easy to find.
Yeah. Well, it was really nice to have you here, Ben. Really hope, we're going to be there.
We're going to be there this year
again. Just from our point of view, I thought it was really, like the venue itself is really cool place. And also, the vibe is really great at these venues. It's just like the CrossFit spirit is really at its toes here. So no, I would definitely recommend anyone to go to that. Also to see if you're not from that area of Mainz or Frankfurt, also to get your asses to that area is also nice.
Yeah. If you do CrossFit, if you don't know it, you've never done it before, and you try it, it's a very good experience to just get a overview of what the sport is about. But it's not only about the athletes in the floor, which are great athletes, but it's also about the people around it, and that's what makes the sport great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for the compliments and thanks for having me and talking about the event. We want to put up a group on Facebook, which will be in the direction of a CrossFitter's home for CrossFitter. So if like local CrossFitter wants to welcome other CrossFitters who come from further away to have like a sleeping possibility on the couch or something like that. So look out for that on Facebook. I think it gets the community really going, and we want to do that.
Yeah, perfect. Eggs and bacon for breakfast.
Exactly. Thanks.
Thanks you guys.
Very good.
Okay.
Top.
Thanks, Benedict.
Thank you.
Thanks.